a Saturday. 6:09 is not the area code for us. It is the time that they will tip that ball off against Oklahoma. You can hear the game on 97.3 ESPN, and Ryan joins us now. Now, Ryan, you've already called this game one time, Villanova and Oklahoma. That was a 23-point win back in December. How far have the Wildcats come since that game?
Well, I think they're a completely different team, and I think the stats bear to just what you said in terms of, what's different. I mean, Villanova in that game, I thought, relied too much on the three ball. Villanova in that game was 4 of 32 from three-point range. Over 50% of their shots in that game came from three-point range, while the Sooners knocked down 14 threes. So let's start with the fact that the Sooners outscored Villanova by 30 points alone from beyond the arc in that game out in Hawaii on December 7th. And I think Villanova has just become much more of a complete team. I almost look at it as a full circle thing when you think about the fact that Villanova, who was red-hot shooting in the NCAA tournament the first 3 games, cooled off greatly against Kansas. They shot only 40%. The Wildcats only made 4 threes, but yet they beat the overall number 1 seed that had won 17 in a row because of unbelievable defense that held Kansas to just 59 total points, which just shows Villanova's come light years from December. They're a team that now can beat you in a lot of different ways, and they don't have to make threes to beat you.
Yeah, you just mentioned a lot of different ways, Ryan. They were scoring 80-plus points the first 3 games of the tournament. They were in the 50s last game. Which a better style for them, or does it not matter?
I don't think it does, and I think that proved it. Villanova this year's won a lot of grinded-out games, but yet Villanova's happy to play a game in the 80s, and they're comfortable there. And I think that's when you look at teams that are able to get to the Final Fours and win a national championship or play for one, they've got to be able to do a lot of different things. They've got to be able to play slow tempo when a team's going to try to dictate and play a slow down style, or if they want to run up and down, I think Villanova can make that adjustment as well and play in the 80s comfortably.
Hey, Ryan, give us a little insight on Oklahoma, because we hear so much about Buddy Hield, but what other concerns do you have about the Sooners?
Just what a veteran group they are. You know, they've got 4 guys in Jordan Woodard, Isaiah Cousins, Buddy Hield, and Ryan Spangler, who collectively, those 4 guys will start their 105th game in a row together. I mean, that's unheard of in terms of togetherness and knowing each other. They're a very tight-knit group. They remind me of Villanova a lot, reading about them and knowing about them. You know, they have supreme confidence. They're a veteran ball club. You know, last year they went to the Sweet 16 to the Sooners. And I just feel like, you know, that group, you know, people always talk about Buddy Hield, but Isaiah Cousins, he was huge in their 23-point win over Villanova back in December. He had 19 points, 10 assists, and shot 4 of 4 from three-point range in that game. I mean, he's a guy that is just can absolutely break your heart, even though everybody always focuses on Buddy Hield. I think that's what impresses me the most about the Sooners. Those 4 guys off the bench, their top 5 reserves off the bench, 4 of them are freshmen, so it's a young bench for the Sooners. But, wow, do they have great veteran leadership in their starting lineup.
And you talk about veteran leadership. Villanova, a pretty veteran team as well. Can you talk about why this class is so special and unique in today's college basketball?
I think Daniel Chefu and Archie Diacono have been terrific leaders. You know, they're the winningest class in Villanova history. But I think when you talk about a guy like Archie Diacono, you just don't make a guy like this in terms of his passion, desire to win. I'll tell you a quick story. When Kyle Lowry announced that he was going to come to Villanova, I went to his press conference at Cardinal Doherty, you know, back over a decade ago. And I said, Kyle, what's the best attribute you're going to bring to Villanova? And he said, and I've never heard a high school kid ever say this ever in my life. He said, oh, it's easy. I can't stand to lose. I can't handle it. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And I think that mentality is the greatest thing that I'll bring Villanova. And in the 25 years I've been at Villanova, we've had some unbelievable leaders. But Archie Diacono stands out to me, along with Kyle Lowry, of guys that literally just would do anything not to have to deal with losing. It was that important to them to find a way to win no matter what. Archie Diacono is one of those guys that he just really struggles with losing. He doesn't accept it, and I think when you're that way and it's that important to you, you find a way to win. You manufacture ways to win. You show leadership on and off the court that helps. and Arcidiacono is one of those guys.
And you probably saw that picture that Jay Wright tweeted out yesterday of Chefu and Arcidiacono kissing the V, their last practice. But Jay was pretty emotional. I mean, they interviewed him up here in Philadelphia, the local media. And what does that say about the class, what they've gone through, and some of the early exits?
Well, I saw that. And, Jay is a guy, I don't see Jay get very emotional very often, but I think that when a coach that's been around 15 years tries to get guys to understand, guys, while you're here, it's all about the name on the front of your jersey that says Villanova, not your own name on the back of your jersey. Just buy into this. Do this at a high level, and all of your individual accolades will come later after you leave Villanova. But just buy into what we're doing here that's all about family and rebounding and defense and teamwork. And when he watched them, go down and kiss the floor, the big V, I mean, to me, that probably was a moment for him. Was like, this is why I became the coach of Villanova, because I wanted guys to think about something bigger than themselves, and they clearly have, and that's why they've achieved greatness.
Ryan Fannon's the voice of the Villanova Wildcats. They'll play Oklahoma, and, of course, they played back in December. 78-55, Oklahoma won that game. It was an odd game and kind of an airplane hangar. It was early in the year. We hear so much about Buddy Hield, but what kind of game, Ryan, would you like to see on Saturday, if you're a Villanova fan? I mean, what is the best path for victory for them?
I think one thing that stands out, and it's a category that Villanova's done extremely well in, it's points off turnovers. This Oklahoma team, it's not that they turn the ball over a lot, but they are susceptible. They average 13 turnovers a game. That's not a high number, but, Villanova does a little better job at 11 turnovers a game. And I think, Buddy Hield, as great as he is, Buddy Hield has 109 turnovers on the year. He has 73 assists. Everybody talks about he averages 25.5 points a game. They can turn Buddy over. They can turn some of the guards over, especially the young guys off the bench. I'm really looking for that points off turnovers category is where I think Villanova can hurt Oklahoma, get some easy buckets in transition. That's one thing I'm looking for. Also, I think another thing to look for in this game is, how does Villanova's bench production come up in this game? Mikal Bridges has been terrific, the redshirt freshman. He brings such a defensive spark off the bench, and he brings great length. And you'll often see late in games, they'll have Arcidiacono, Josh Hart, Bridges, along with Jenkins and Ochefu out there. That's a terrific, long, athletic defensive team that can be very good, especially on the perimeter with that group out there. And I think at the end of the day, when you're talking about a team that's been one or two, all year from three-point range, and the Oklahoma Sooners now shooting 43% from three-point range on the year. I mean, Villanova has to make sure they play terrific perimeter defense in this game, knowing Oklahoma's still going to make their threes. They just can't allow them to make 14 threes like they did back in December.
Yeah, and again, we bring up that 22-point loss, but is that a motivating factor? I mean, is there anything to take from that first game that we can bring to this one, or is it just a completely different time and two totally different teams?
I really think the whole revenge thing is bigger for broadcasters and fans and maybe even coaches than it is players. I've noticed just being around doing the play-by-play for almost 20 years, the kids don't focus. I never hear them say, oh, we got to get them back. I think that's more of a fan thing. I really do. I think they look at it like, okay, now, of course, they're great competitors. Trust me, they know they lost to Oklahoma in blowout fashion in December. So, yes, it's a motivating factor, but I think when you get to the Final Four, you don't care if you beat somebody, not beat somebody. You just want to win to get the championship Monday. So to answer your question, I really think these kids, they don't think about revenge nearly the way we do.
Ryan Fannon, the voice of the Villanova Wildcats. It's Villanova and Oklahoma this Saturday. Coverage here starts at 4:30 on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, right after that, Syracuse and North Carolina. We'll see if Villanova can get themselves back to the NCAA championship game. Ryan, thanks so much, pal.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'm going to be out with my buddy Billy on Saturday, breaking it down as well. I love his show on Saturdays. I've been on with him all year. Can't wait to be back on Saturday. And keep up the great work. You guys enjoy your show a lot as well.